Procedural maps add further realism to a material. AutoCAD includes a number of procedural maps, including checker, gradient, marble, noise, speckle, tiles, waves, and wood. Unlike texture maps, which use bitmap images, a procedural map is generated by a mathematical algorithm. As a result, the types of controls vary depending on the capabilities of the particular procedural map. Procedural maps can be generated in 2 or 3 dimensions, and you can nest additional texture or procedural maps within a procedural map to add depth and complexity to a material. For example, I've created a simple model of a swimming pool. Notice that the pool itself is just a simple solid. The other objects in the model were also created using very simple solid shapes. I'll use the in-canvas controls to switch to the realistic visual style. Everything in the model looks pretty good, but the pool definitely doesn't look like water. But we can fix that. In the Materials browser, in the Autodesk library, notice the category called Liquid. When I select that category, notice that AutoCAD comes with a number of predefined materials you can use to represent water, including a clear lake, a murky river, and so on. When I scroll down, notice that there's already a material called swimming pool. I'll use the control to expand the size of the preview to 64 by 64 so that I can get a better idea of what this material looks like. Of course, I could also define my own custom material, but it's usually best to first see if there's a predefined material that will work, or at least one you can use as a starting point and then modify to get the exact results you want. It looks pretty good, so I'll drag and drop it onto the solid that represents the pool. As soon as I do, notice that you can now see the bottom of the pool. The material does indeed represent water. But how does this material look when I render the scene? I'll use the in-canvas control to restore a custom view, and then render the scene. The pool really doesn't look like it's filled with water, does it? It looks more like ink. But note that the problem may not be the material. Notice that in the Sun and Location panel, the sky is currently set to off. So the only light source is the sun. But in order for water to actually look realistic, we need to add in the effects of atmospheric illumination. I'll expand this drop-down and choose Sky Background and Illumination. Now let's render again. It takes much longer for AutoCAD to render the scene with sky illumination turned on, so I'll jump to the finished image. That looks much better, doesn't it? In order for water to look like real water, the sky needs to behave like the real sky, with sunlight scattered by the atmosphere. So how does AutoCAD create such realistic water? In the Materials browser, if I double-click on the water material in the Document Materials list, the material opens in the Materials Editor palette. Notice that the available properties list is pretty simple. The swimming pool material is based on a procedural map called Swimming Pool. About the only thing I can adjust is the height of the waves in the pool. I'll use the slider to move this value to 5, which is the highest it will go. Then I'll render the scene again. Notice that now the surface of the water looks like a bunch of swimmers have just left the pool. And if I render at a higher resolution and save the results to a file, Notice how realistic the water actually looks. You could not achieve this level of realism by simply using an image of the water. But by calculating the appearance of the water using a procedural map, AutoCAD can achieve an incredibly high level of realism.